Well, hello there. Hopefully, this is not coming out too loud. We are live, 32-bit float, so you know the quality is on point. We could do that, make it a little bit not so in the dark. So, today I'm going to bring up levels. Levels here. And I'm getting it. I really am getting, I just had a eureka moment recently. So, in that moment, right? So, I had an old friend of mine basically tell me she is getting back into, well, this transition that she's undergoing right now, right? Where she wants to get her body right, she wants to get her mind right, she wants to get her health on point, and it's a whole transition, right? And at some point, I was listening to her, right? Because for a while, I have been a personal trainer myself, right? So she hired she got a personal trainer, and she's starting her. My was when I was listening to her, and she was telling me like she just wanted to share like every detail about this guy and how he was late in the beginning, he mixed up his days, and it's like, where are you, and all of that, right? And it's like I'm listening to her and she's telling me like, oh, I gotta tell Basil, you know oops, let me just put this back on. My mic fell off, pardon me. We'll keep it like that. Just give me a second, y'all. I don't like that. Right? I don't like that being right there. Let's keep it there. Yeah, that's better. I don't like that either because it's kind of like downward. I wanted it here. It's not really gripping properly right there. I gotta keep my eye on the road at the same time. Maybe we keep it there. I'll get back to this eureka moment in a second. I didn't lose my train of thought. Okay, yeah, that's okay. So, hey, Lips, what's up? Sarah, what's going on? Had my head down for a second. So, so she's basically like talking about her experience, right? And she's telling me about the trainer. She's telling me about Real Boss. What's up? I'm driving around in between Yonkers and the Bronx right now. Chris, Puma, what's up? What's up, people? How's it going? Yes, yes. Now, she's breaking down this whole like first day of getting back, because this is her journey, right? Like, this is her transition. First day in the gym, new personal trainer, and New York, baby, you already know. And keep in mind, I'm a personal trainer myself, right? I appreciate that, Lips. Thank you, thank you. And I am listening to what she's telling me, and then this was the eureka moment. I basically, it was like mind blowing to me. It was like a revelation. where she's like breaking down every detail of her first day. And she's like, I gotta tell Basil, right? And hi, Lips. And that's when it occurred to me, like, wow, you know, because there have been a lot of women that have come to me, and I've always explained how, like, I'm a tough trainer, like I'm militant, you know, and they're like, I need that, I want that, like I need someone tough, you know, I need someone strong, I need someone to put me in my place and, like, you know, make sure I do what I'm supposed to do. And I've heard that many a time, you know. I don't think that's like people going into boot camp, and it's like, I can't wait, I need this discipline in my life. And then it's like you go into boot camp and it's just like, oh, this is what I signed up for, you know. So it's one of those things. So here's the eureka moment. She's telling me every little detail about her first day going back into the gym to start her new journey. You know, she wants to get her health on point. She wants to drop weight. She wants to get on track, right? Get off of the bad habits, etc., like the vices and whatnot. And it occurred to me how all this time, all I ever wanted as a trainer myself was to get the goal accomplished. Like whatever a person wanted as far as, okay, this is what they want to do. Like if it's, you know, a female telling me like, yo, I have flab under my arms, or my back fat, or, you know, like my boobs need to go up, or like my butt needs to be a little bit more round, or I need to get rid of this fat, or whatever it was, right? To me, it was always like, okay, then that's what we got to do. We got to make sure we get this accomplished. We have to get rid of like whatever it is she or he wants. We have to get that, right? But what didn't occur to me, especially with women, and this is the eureka moment, was the experience. And that blew my mind, because she was like it never occurred to me. It's like all I cared about was the goal. All I cared about was making sure we were successful at making sure that happened. And I wasn't thinking about, like, yeah, of course, I didn't want to make it like horrible for them. I didn't want to make it not fun. I didn't want to make it like a bad experience. But at the same time, I didn't think like, because she's almost 40 years old, and she's talking to me like a little girl. She's like so excited, and she's like, oh, look, this is what happened. I was on the treadmill, and then I went to, what's that called? The thing where you go, I think it's called an elliptical. And then it's like, you know, she's like childlike, like a kid, like telling me every little detail. And it was like, wow, that's what I missed. Now, this doesn't make me say I want to go back full force into being like the best trainer I could be. No. But when I look back and I say, this is something that slipped my mind and I didn't pay attention to, because when you're a trainer, or if you're in anything, you could be a therapist, you could be a counselor, you could be in anything that involves like close contact with people, you're dealing with human beings. And especially women, we're dealing with emotions. So it's like, man, I was just militant, stone cold, you know, I didn't consider those things. And to me, these are levels now at this point where it's like, wow, I totally kind of dropped the ball there, you know? And I didn't pay attention to detail when it came to that right there. And that was my eureka moment when it comes to the levels involved. Because when you're a trainer, if it was as simple as, look, I get you to lose that weight and I get your body on point, it'd be simple. It'd be simple. But it's not ever that simple. Because when you're dealing with people, they have to unlearn habits. They have to retrain themselves for new things to learn. Walter, how you doing? And thank you, Lips. I appreciate the compliment. Do I like pizza? I love pizza. I enjoy pizza. Trust and believe. Do I eat pizza right now? No, I don't. But do I love it? Yes, I do. I don't like it. I love it. Now, when I think about that whole thing, it was like, yeah, I just focused on the goal. Let me crack the windows down. It's getting a little, yeah. So there are levels I achieved because if it was as simple, like I said, if it was as simple as just, well, you got to do what you got to do, Mr. Cheese. If it was as simple as just people, dropping weight, it'd be a simple process, at least for me, with my experience, my wisdom. But when you're dealing with people, when you're dealing with human beings, there's a lot involved, a lot, and that's where the levels come into this. On another tangent, right? But involving the same topic at hand, it's like, wow. So a person is an alcoholic, right? And they're telling me how they want to get their selves, like they want to get their lives together and on point and not drink anymore. And I applaud that. And this is a touchy topic, so it's like I'm talking to a female, so it's like I'm already like militant and pretty hardcore internally, right? So it's like I know in my head, it's already running through my head, like, be sensitive here, like, don't dissuade her. She's trying to get herself together. This is a touchy topic. She's clearly an alcoholic, and she's trusting you. She wants to let you know something that is a difficult situation to deal with. So here's the thing, though. This person tells me, right? And if you check in, please don't think I'm like putting you on blast because we're clearly anonymous, right? No one will ever know who you are. So if you ever see this, please don't think like I'm putting you on blast. This is a real story, but I won't ever disclose who you are, right? So I'm just putting that out there, right? So don't think like, oh, you shared that with me. I'm just sharing this story. It's real, and I'm putting it out there, but you are not put out there, right? But this story, I think, is important to put out there, right? So she tells me that she's on her her mission to get off of drinking. But she tells me like she has liquor everywhere. So it's like, to me, it's like, I asked the question, it's like, why? Why is the liquor there? And she basically says, well, it's there because sometimes, like, if I'm thinking about, like, if guests come, and I'm thinking to myself, like, guests, like, you're an alcoholic. Why would you think about guests and what they want? It's about you, But then, okay, so like let's take the guest thing out the way, right? So, okay, let's just say, forget about the guests, right? But here's the reason. The reason is it's like a challenge. This is what I was told. It's a challenge to keep it there in plain view and basically say to yourself that I'm strong enough to say no to it. And like immediately, right? Like, again, I'm being sensitive because it's like, this is a touchy topic, but I'm just like, what? Like, I felt like saying that's the, again, this is public, right? This is live. Like, I don't even want to say what I was thinking, right? Just in case this person comes in and is like, that's what you were thinking, I don't want to like put it out there. But in my head, and this is what I told her, I was like, I don't agree with that at all. I told her straight up, I don't agree with that. Because like I've gone through a lot of things in my life where it's like, on the one hand, it's like I thought to myself, looking back, like I wish someone was strong enough to just tell me like, no, don't do that. Like, don't do that. But then on the other hand, it's like I already know no one was that strong to tell me what I shouldn't do. So basically, I had to learn the hard way. And I am not negating what she's doing. I'm not saying that there's not a possibility that she can succeed, because I think she can succeed. But I don't agree with that, right? I wish she would just listen to me and be like, look, get rid of all that stuff, Because I even brought up like an extreme example, but it's like, to me, it makes perfect sense. Because it's like, okay, I'm not really, but I'm just using this as a hypothetical example, right? I'm a recovering crack addict, right? And then I have crack pipes and like crack cocaine in like drawers, right? And then a person would be like, why do you have that? Like, you're a recovering addict. Why would you put the drugs right there? Because I want to challenge myself to say that, the drugs are there in plain view and I can say no to it. No, that's like saying, you're a heroin addict and you got needles all over the place and you keep them there because you want to make sure you challenge yourself to say no every time like it's calling you. No, or like it's powder and you keep it there so you say no every time you want to sniff it. No, if it's weed, if it's anything, and in this case it's alcohol, right? And I'm just like, no, that doesn't make sense. You're keeping the stuff that is like a major trigger right next to you because you want to torture yourself and say, I'm better than this. So there are levels here because, again, I don't say it's not possible that she can succeed, but I wish she would just listen to me and be like, I'm like, no, just get rid of all that stuff. If you're trying to beat this, be far away from it, where you don't have any distractions and you are as far away from it as possible, that you don't get any distractions when you get triggered. If something happens, you get stressed out, anything happens, and it's like, boom, the first thing you're going to think is, I want to go to this, right? So it's like, no, don't do that. And then, of course, she's like, I have to do what I have to do the way I want to do it, and no one is going to understand that but me. What can I say to that? That's like what I was trying to say about like when I went through what I went through. And unfortunately, a lot of people have to then in my opinion, unnecessarily go learn the hard way. Like now you have to get hit hard when you could have potentially avoided a lot of that. And that's what I mean by it there being levels here. You know, because there's so many times where I genuinely think I can help so many people in so many ways, whether it be money, whether it be health, whether it be so many things, because I have a lot of knowledge and experience here to help people, but they're so stubborn. They're so stuck in their ways where they're just like, no, I have to do things my way. And no one can tell me what I have to do besides me. What can you say to that? You can't, and it's like, man, you may not learn until something really bad happens. And then it's like, I had to learn the hard way because I got hit so hard, you know? And that's one of those things where it's just like, man, you can't, it's like a force field. It's like you can't go past that. You can't go beyond that. And it's like, man, you could save so much heartache and so much time in life if you would just not torture yourself and not put yourself through certain things. And like so much time goes by, you know, like, yeah, you might get experience out of it, which then turns into hopefully wisdom. And then with that wisdom and that experience, now you're probably hopefully better and stronger as a result. But it's like, shoot, you know, I wish I could help people, especially when you know their levels here and you can actually impart information to folks and you could save them so much time and heartache, but they got to do things the way they do it, you know? And I think that's part of the reason why, as a result, then I'm like, now I just, I don't, I don't do a lot of things. I don't, yeah, over here in live stream, whatever, I'm just sharing information because I think it's important, right? So I'm just putting it out there. But when it comes to like certain things now, I may not just volunteer a whole bunch of information and go way out of my way to try and help people and give so much energy out to try and like go through hurdles that they're putting up themselves, you know? It's like in the comments, right? Of like these shorts I put out. The reason why I kind of like made the plan to stop engaging is because there's so many trolls out there and there's so much negativity that it's just like, it's like, who do you like, not who do you trust, but yeah, it's like, who do you trust? Now I get it. It's like, you don't engage because like for a whole bunch of like nice people and people that are saying positive things, you have you have trolls everywhere. And then the question might be like, well, why don't you just pick and choose? Well, it's like, why don't I not put myself in that situation? I'm here right now, right? I do these live streams regularly. And if people want to engage and we just so happen to catch these, we'll do it here. You know? I'm sure there'll be a time in the future we could even schedule streams in whatever we're talking about. Because we'll always talk about something that's worth talking about. And then I'm not wasting people's time. You know? So that's really it. You know, I just wanted to make sure I got this across. There are levels here. And for better or worse, these levels are not easily attained for everyone. You know, nobody said it'd be easy. But when it comes down to it, it's like, it's probably not meant to be easy. And not everyone gets to these levels without going through some major hardships. And a lot of the time, people put these obstacles up. These obstacles are self-imposed. Like they put these obstacles up themselves. And as a result, it's like, man, you know, You could have saved a lot of time and hardship by not putting these self-imposed obstacles up, you know? But then, like I said, when a person says, I have to do this my way, I have to learn how I want to go about it, then it's just like, you can't say anything to that, you know? It's like, yeah, you're right. You got to learn. So with that being said, I think we're going to cut this short, almost a half hour, over 25 minutes. I appreciate every single person that came in, checked in, whether you engaged or not. Even if you just came in to say hi, or if you just checked in, regardless, to view, all great. And until next time, I will catch y'all later.